I work in construction, which means long days, early mornings, and coming home so drained I can barely keep my eyes open. My wife Natalie always told me she admired how hard I worked. She'd say she loved me, that she was proud of me. I took her at her word. That day felt completely ordinary. I kissed her goodbye around 6 o'clock, grabbed my thermos, and headed out while she was still tucked into the blankets, half asleep. She mumbled something like "be safe," and I smiled. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have a woman who loved me even when I came home sweaty and half broken from lifting rebar and pouring concrete in the sun. The site we were working on was 2 towns over. Nothing fancy, just a small commercial building, the kind that pops up with the same steel frame and cookie-cutter walls. I clocked in, got my gear on, and went straight to work. We were short a guy, so I picked up extra slack without thinking twice. That's just what you do when you care about your crew. Round noon, my boss called us in. "Some permit issue," he said. The whole project had to pause until materials were re-inspected. That meant the rest of the day off. Most of the guys were annoyed. Not me. I thought, hey, maybe I'll surprise Natalie for once. Take her to that lunch spot she likes, the one with the outdoor seating and overpriced sandwiches she always talks about. We hadn't had a real lunch date in months. Life had been too much about bills, schedules, and maybe next week. I got in my truck, still wearing my dusty boots and shirt streaked with sweat. I almost stopped to grab flowers, but decided against it. I didn't want to make it too dramatic. I just wanted it to feel natural, like love should feel. As I turned onto our street, I noticed how quiet everything felt. The leaves were barely moving, a perfect blue sky above, and that clean, almost romantic hush of a weekday afternoon. Then I saw it, a silver sedan parked in my driveway. I slowed the truck as my heart gave a small, confused jump. I didn't recognize the car. It wasn't one of Natalie's friends, and she didn't have any deliveries scheduled. I knew that because I checked the shared calendar just that morning. For a second, I told myself it might be a neighbor's, maybe someone parked wrong, or a contractor, maybe something broke, and she called for help. Yeah, that had to be it. But as I parked beside it and cut the engine, something in me twisted. Not panic. Not yet. Just a tightness in my gut. A pressure I couldn't name. I walked toward the front door slowly, my boots crunching the gravel path we'd spread ourselves just last spring. I noticed the curtains were drawn in the living room. We always left them open during the day. Natalie liked the natural light. She said it made the house feel warm. The front door was locked. I used my key, quietly. Inside, everything looked normal to normal. The TV was off. No music. No signs of cleaning supplies or broken fixtures. Just silence. And then I heard it. Laughter. From the back of the house. From our bedroom, a man's voice followed, low, confident, like he belonged there. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable. Intimate. My mouth went dry. For a second, I froze. My brain stalled like an engine in winter. I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, a bad joke, anything but what it felt like. But the sound of the bed creaking, soft, rhythmic, painfully clear, snapped me into motion. I took one slow step down the hallway. My hand brushed the wall for balance. My throat was tight, my heart thudding so loud I was afraid they might hear it. The bedroom door was cracked open. I stepped closer, and everything I thought I knew about my life began to collapse. The door was open just enough to see through the narrow gap, and that was all it took. I didn't need to barge in or call out her name. One glance told me everything. Natalie was in our bed with a man I'd never seen before. He was shirtless. She was under him, her hands in his hair, laughing like they were in a hotel suite. Not the home we built together. I didn't move. I didn't make a sound. They didn't even notice me. The worst part? It wasn't frantic or shameful or rushed. It was slow, comfortable. Like it wasn't the first time. Like they'd done this before. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd throw up right there in the hallway. But I didn't. Something inside me turned ice cold. My heart didn't pound. It stopped. A kind of stillness took over. The kind you get when your body goes into survival mode. No emotion, just cold clarity. I pulled out my phone. My hands didn't even shake. I recorded just enough, just a few seconds. Enough to see her face, his back, the context. Enough to remove any doubt. Then I ended the recording, turned around, and walked back down the hallway like I wasn't leaving behind the last 5 years of my life. I stepped outside. The sunlight felt too bright. The birds were still chirping, oblivious to the disaster that just detonated in my chest. I got into my truck, shut the door, and just sat there. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just breathed. My phone buzzed. A calendar reminder. Pick up groceries. Natalie's list. I laughed. A dry, bitter thing. Then I opened the video and hit send. She got it within seconds. From inside the house, I heard her scream. Wait, what the hell, no. The bedroom window slammed shut. I could hear her scrambling, yelling something about oh my god. And he saw. I didn't wait around. I put the truck in reverse, backed out of the driveway with calm I didn't know I had, and pulled onto the street like I was headed to the store instead of driving away from the wreckage of my marriage. I had no plan, no bag packed, nothing but the clothes on my back and a heart that felt like it had been sawed in half. But for once, I wasn't thinking about what to fix. I was done fixing. By the time I reached the gas station down the road, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Her name lit up the screen over and over. I didn't answer. Not the first call. Not the 10th. Not even when she switched to texting. Please, let me explain. It's not what it looks like. But it was. It was exactly what it looked like. The only thing unclear was how long it had been going on. How many times I kissed her goodbye while that man waited for her to come back to bed. I parked at a nearby strip mall, killed the engine, and leaned back in the seat. I stared at the ceiling. My jaw clenched. My fingers trembled now, the adrenaline wearing off, leaving only this deep, echoing ache in my chest. Then I saw her name on the screen again, this time calling through FaceTime. I declined. I wrote one line instead. You'll hear from me when I'm ready. Until then, leave me alone. Then I turned the phone off completely. I didn't know where I was going next, but I knew I wasn't going back to that house. Not tonight. Not ever. I ended up at my buddy Mark's place. He opened the door, took one look at me, and said, "What happened?" I didn't answer, just handed him the phone and pressed play on the video. He didn't say a word, just watched, his jaw tightening with every second. When it ended, he looked up, eyes burning. "You staying here?" I nodded. He stepped aside. "Then, you don't need to say another word." That night, I slept on his couch without sleeping at all. My body was still, but my mind replayed everything. Her laugh, the stranger's voice, the creak of the bed, over and over like a twisted highlight reel of my own stupidity. By morning, Natalie had sent 37 texts. They started with apologies, then escalated into guilt-tripping, then spiraled into panic. "You don't understand, he means nothing. I messed up, but I never stopped loving you. Please just talk to me, please. Don't ruin us." Ruin us? I stared at that one for a long time. She thought I was the one ruining something. Round 9 a.m. I texted her just one line. "I'll send someone to get my things." No response. Then a new number texted. One of her friends. "Why are you blowing this out of proportion? Natalie is devastated. You're throwing away your marriage over one mistake." I blocked the number without replying. By afternoon, the whispers had started. Friends messaging me asking what happened. I kept it simple. Ask her. But when I found out she was telling people it was a misunderstanding, that we were working through it privately, I made a decision. I sent the video to a few people, just the ones who needed to know the truth. No commentary. No bitterness. Just in case you hear another version. The silence that followed was more satisfying than any screaming match could have been. I could feel her web unraveling in real time. One friend unfollowed her. Another posted something vague but sharp. "Loyalty is shown, not said." The man she cheated with, I didn't even care who he was. He never reached out. Cowards don't. The next week passed like a blur. I stayed at Mark's, started separating our accounts, and met with a lawyer. I didn't drag her name through the mud. Didn't post anything online. Just quiet, clinical steps to remove myself from the life I thought was solid. That was the real revenge. Not fire. Not shouting. But peace. Unshakable. Inconvenient. Undeniable peace. Natalie didn't know what to do with that. She expected rage, drama, a blow-up she could twist into a redemption story. Instead, I gave her absence, and she hated it. I never replied to her final message. "You didn't even try to fix it," because the truth was, I had. For years, I tried to build something honest, something lasting. I gave my time, my love, my trust. She was the one who broke it. And I was the one who finally walked away. No goodbye. No closure. Just the sound of a truck engine starting at sunrise. And a man who refused to become the villain in someone else's story.